Hello! So this lunchtime I'm taking a break from work and we're going to have a quick look at the Caproni Vizolla C22-J in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's been out for some time, but a few friends have been flying it on group flights and said I really needed to take a look at it. They were really impressed with it, so we're going to take a look at it. So I've spawned it in at Booker Airfield or Wycombe Air Park, EGTB in the UK. So if we go and jump inside the aeroplane, you can see it's really nicely modelled. It's not maybe as high quality or high definition model as some of the newer aircraft, but it's not bad at all. So if we just go and close the canopy up. One thing I do like about this is lots of the instruments are in their off positions, so it's up to us to go and switch everything on. A lot of the more kind of dumbed down aircraft are not in that position. It's quite interesting that lots of this stuff is functional, so we have got spoilers in this aircraft, but we'll get to that. We'll get it up and running first. So first thing we do is turn the batteries on. You've got generators next to that underneath the undercarriage lever. It's all quite compressed and squashed in because it's such a small aeroplane. So before we start the engines, let's just have a look and put our position lights on. And the flashing lights. So we can see now, we should see around the aircraft some lights twinkling away. We're just informing people outside we're about to go and start the engines up. So the first thing we do then is just turn on the master switches for the gas turbines. And you will see outside heat will start pumping out of the sides of the fuselage as the engines start to burst into life. It's actually really impressive, the effects they've added to this. So once we've finished cooking the tarmac behind us, let's go and turn the rest of the lights on. We're going to light the aeroplane up like a Christmas tree for our flying demonstration. We'll turn the attitude indicator on. Let's go and turn some of these avionics on then. So turn on the comm radio and the nav radio and the comm radio 2, nav radio 2 and the transponder and the ADF. We're not going to actually use the ADF, but we'll switch it on anyway. There's a DME over here. There's also this altitude selector which gives you instruction while you're flying. I mean, we can turn it on, but it's not going to make much difference to us. There we go. It's not going to make much difference to us because we're not going to use it, but it gives you instruction as you're flying to get to a given altitude. So we're just going to turn it off. In way of instruments, you've got your normal six-pack, which is, you know, fairly typical. You have got an HSI here with a CDI, and you've got nav2 over there with just a localizer needle. Otherwise, I think it's really, really nice. I'm not sure what this does down here, but there's a lot to learn. There are good manuals that come with it, so I wouldn't get too worried about not recognizing things around the cockpit. But beyond the basics of, you know, the basic navigation kit you get with it, it's more about just stick and rudder flying, to be honest. So we are going to extend the flaps to their 50% setting because it's got a short field here. We're going to remove the parking brake and we are going to taxi out to the runway. So we're at Booker, remember. So if we have a look outside at this aeroplane, it's remarkably small, isn't it? So the chap inside looks pretty frightened, and I don't blame him if I'm in control of the aeroplane. It's so small, isn't it? Okay, let's open the throttles before we roll to a halt. Okay, we're at runway 24. Let's go full throttle. No turning back now. So now I don't know what the rotate speed is going to be for this, so I'm going to keep a little bit of backstick and just see when the nose starts to come up of its own accord. It's starting to rotate. It's not off the ground just yet, and now it is. So it came up about 75 knots. Okay, so let's have a look outside. So gear up, flaps up, and you can see it climbs like nobody's business, but then it's very light. Even though it only has two very small engines, it's very light. So climbing out, we're coming up to 110 knots, 120 knots at 2,000 feet per minute, so it really can climb. We don't have any view behind us, obviously. We can sit up in the cockpit though, which gives us this much higher field of view. So let's turn back around and come off the throttle to 50%. Stop the rate of climb, just let the nose fall. It's thrown around a lot by any turbulence, that's worth pointing out. It really doesn't like turbulence. You can see it diving around as it goes through different layers of air. Okay, so we're looking for 60 degrees for the reciprocal of the runway direction, and we've got that. So we should be able to see there's the airfield down there that we've just left. So we're cruising along at 50% power and we're doing 140 knots. So just out of interest, let's do a bit of a dash. So if I go and open the throttles up flat out and start trimming the nose down, obviously because we are going to pick up lift. So 160 knots, 180 knots, 200 knots. So I think it's probably going to top out at about 250 knots, or maybe a little bit faster. Obviously we shouldn't go any faster than that below 10,000 feet anyway, so we're not going to. So let's roll this round over the top of High Wycombe. And we'll do some performance tests, I guess. Because it does have so much speed on hand, even with 50% throttle, look, it's not losing speed. So it's a really good job we have got spoilers. So just to show you those spoilers, if we'll come back down towards runway heading for a moment. So around to about 245 degrees. Okay. So I just want to show you those spoilers in operation. So if we see, they actually suck air from the top, and you can almost, yeah, you can absolutely kill the airspeed. Okay, so the airfield should be down here somewhere. The view is clipped by the glass. You can't extend your view, which is pretty normal, to be honest. I'm just wondering where on earth the airfield has gone. While we were manoeuvring, we have lost the airfield. It's directly below us. We were on top of the airfield. Okay, let's do some manoeuvring tests then. So pull it back round to 60 degrees. We're still at 50% throttle. Okay, going to pull the nose up. Kill the engine, feeding in back stick to maintain the climb. It's a stall warning, and it didn't drop a wing even though we weren't level, but now it has. And if you keep holding the stick, it will spin. If you let go, it will pull out all of its own on its own. So I'm just pulling out before we get to 250 knots. That's interesting. So something I did discover though, I've done one flight in this already. Something I did discover is you can cause it to snap roll. I'll show you how to do it. Ready? He says. Oh, sorry, I went the wrong way to force it into it. Ready? So we'll nose up. There we go. As soon as you let go though, and it will actually snap out all on its own. It's very stable when you do it. Do it once more. So it does end up back to the direction you were going. I don't recommend doing it in a real aeroplane because you'll probably horrendously damage the aeroplane, or if not, just stretch all of the straps inside. It will only do it negative G, it won't do it positive G. So while we're here, let's try something. We'll nose up slightly, lose some speed. Let's roll over and pull it underneath. And while we're going underneath, let's try those spoilers out. Yeah, the spoilers don't actually work that amazingly for fast manoeuvres. Okay, so you can see visibility is absolutely brilliant, other than you can't see behind yourself, but you know, and the hoop is a bit of a distraction, so you can't have everything, can you? So we're just circling the airfield. We're going to come back in runway 24, the direction we took off from. It's nicely modelled though, isn't it? If you just want like a sport jet to go flying around in that's fast, you can't go far wrong with this, to be honest. Okay, how are we doing for speed? 160 knots. Engines are idle. I'm just feeding some elevator trim in so I don't have to keep pulling back the entire time. It really doesn't like going any slower than about 180 really, you know, just for normal stable flights. Okay, let's get the gear back down. Go for flaps. Zoom in slightly. It has got, when you press the F key on the keyboard, it does have this slightly odd kind of fisheye. Oh, that reflection is in just the wrong place for us, isn't it? Let's scoot ourselves sideways in the cockpit to see past it. So I've got the spoilers out as well. I will remove them though. lot of turbulence, and this thing is kicked around all over the place by turbulence. I'm feeling we're too fast. And we are, so we're going to go round. Gear back up. So we do need to plan the approach a little bit better. The first attempt at landing it though, so just shows nobody's perfect and every mistake is a chance to learn. But that wasn't really a mistake, that was more a misjudgment, wasn't it? Okay, try and do it a bit better this time, shall we? So, that's the airfield. The throttle response is very slow, so you need to be careful of that. We are going to have problems getting down, you know. This is going to turn into an unexpected adventure today. So throttle, wheels back up again. Third time lucky, shall we? Just looking at the windsock down there, we have got the headwind. It's quite a strong headwind, but it's not having it, is it? Okay, let's do some manoeuvres to burn some speed off. Whoa! So 100 knots really is the magic number. I'm going to do this approach with the spoilers as well. See if it helps. Doing a deliberate turn to lose even more speed. We are much slower this time. That was not fun. Spoilers up, flaps up. So that was full spoilers, full flaps for our third approach, but we did it this time. So obviously this aeroplane would like a much longer runway. But again, it's just practice. And maybe reading the pilot operating handbook before you get in it and learning about what you can do. So hopefully not get the tyres muddy. Notice I said about the engine spool up time. That's taken a good 3 or 4 seconds before they started to spool up. So there you go. It's a lovely little aeroplane though, isn't it? So it's the Caproni Vizolla C22-J. I'm just looking at the tail there to remind myself of its full name. You can get it from Sim Market for about €10, so it's not expensive at all. Should put it on this pad just here. Yeah, we've fallen foul of the having no feel on the brakes because I don't have rudder pedals. Okay, parking brakes on, engines off, generators off, or they won't come, they've gone off automatically by the look of it. And then we can play games probably with, do we have to just move these back by hand to switch off? Yes we do. That's a bit of a pain, isn't it? We'll work our way around the cockpit, turning things back off. And off, and we never switched that on, and we did turn on the attitude indicator and the lights, so they can all come off. And finally, oh, we never used the pitot heat, did we? But it's a lovely warm day anyway, so we didn't need it. Turn the batteries off, and then open the canopy. Back in time for tea and medals. And he still looks terrified, but I don't blame him given the 3 approaches we did. Anyway, so that's the Caproni Vizolla C22-J in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll be looking at it again soon. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Just take a picture for the video. See you again soon.